The Q80T is Samsung's entry-level full-array local dimming TV for 2020. It replaces the Q80R, which is the version from 2019. Is it just a refresh, or is there more to this TV that makes it more compelling? Well, in this review, we'll find out. Stick around. Hey guys, it's the Villaman here, home theater enthusiast and socially distant tech lover. Now, if you're new here, then on this channel we review, demo, and compare 4K TVs like this one. So if you want to see more of that, then you should definitely hit the subscribe button and come along for the ride. If you missed the unboxing or the video where I tested the screen performance of the Q80T, then you should check it out in the description or in the link up there. So first, let's talk about the specs of this TV so we're all up to speed on what it has to offer. The Q80T comes in 5 sizes ranging from 49 inches to 85 inches. A number of manufacturers are making smaller versions of their higher end 4K TVs this year, and I really like that. You know, because more options. It's a QLED TV, which means it has a quantum dot substrate layer to broaden the color spectrum, which helps it to achieve 100% coverage of the DCI-P3 color space. It has Samsung's direct full array 12x and quantum HDR 12x, which basically means it has 12 rows of dimming zones. It has 4 vertical ones for a total of 48 local dimming zones. It supports most of the major HDR standards, including HDR10, HDR10+, and hybrid log gamma HLG. But like all other Samsung TVs, it does not support Dolby Vision. That's a really big point of contention for many people, including myself, who are disappointed that Samsung is the only major manufacturer who doesn't support Dolby Vision. Come on, Samsung. It has their quantum processor 4K for picture processing and upscaling, and also their ultra viewing angle technology for enhanced off-axis viewing. The TV also has object tracking sound technology, which includes 2 down-firing and 2 up-firing speakers, which is supposed to produce sound in a 3D effect that tracks the object on screen as it moves. It actually sounds pretty good and produces some convincing overhead effects at the higher frequencies. The audio is also good for casual watching, but the 3D effect wasn't pronounced on regular TV watching. But when I played music to see how well it did, I was actually surprised at how good it sounded. It has decent low end, but it's still a TV, so don't expect any miracles. It won't replace an external sound system or even a sound bar, but if you're an avid watcher of my channel, then you probably knew that already. It has 4 HDMI ports, with port number 4 being an HDMI 2.1 port. All the other ports are HDMI 2.0. Port number 3 supports enhanced audio return channel to send lossless audio to your receiver or soundbar. That's also an HDMI 2.1 feature. The design of the TV has somewhat changed for 2020. It no longer has feet at the corners, but instead has a stand in the middle. It makes it compatible with more entertainment stands, especially the larger versions. It also looks a lot more like the flagship versions this year. Using the TV and the overall smart platform is super intuitive and very responsive. Tizen OS is still one of my favorite smart OS platforms. The TV has pretty good black level performance given the relatively low amount of local dimming zones. Contrast performance is pretty good in most scenes, but of course it's not as good as TV with much more local dimming zones like the Q90R that I reviewed last year. In challenging scenes with a lot of contrast, like a black background with a very bright object in the foreground, you can definitely see where the local dimming zones create some blooming. That and even higher overall scene brightness than what should be present. You can see what I mean in the screen test video that I linked in the description and in the card up there. Blacks are good for what they are because Samsung has implemented some very good local dimming algorithm, but don't expect OLED level performance or performance similar to, say, the Q90R either. It's just not there. That said, Samsung QLED TVs are the only LCD TVs I've seen which have off-axis viewing angles so close to OLED. There's actually minimal loss of contrast or color while watching off-axis. If you're watching off-axis, you'll notice though there is an overall reduction in screen brightness. Speaking of brightness, since it's a Samsung TV, then you know it gets really bright. And that certainly hasn't changed. This TV really shines in a room with a lot of ambient lighting. And that's not only because of the overall brightness, but also the anti-glare coating, which is really good. It scatters a lot of the incoming ambient light instead of reflecting it back to the viewer. In fact, the anti-glare and viewing angles of this TV are at the top of its class. The screen supports 120Hz as tested with an Xbox One X, but the Xbox is limited to 120Hz at 1080p. So I'd wager that when the next gen consoles come out, then that limit that's placed on resolution will disappear when you're playing 120Hz content. The TV also supports FreeSync for a variable refresh rate, but that's only on the models larger than 49 inches. I think that's a weird omission since that smaller size would be great for, say, bedroom gaming or gaming in a smaller space. So that's a missed opportunity. It upscales lower quality 1080p content very well, but that's pretty much expected for any modern TV. I didn't notice any issues with low-res content. There wasn't any micro-blocking, which I saw in some scenes in last year's Q80R, which I was glad to see, or not see. The TV also handles motion very well. I didn't notice any motion issues, as you'd expect from a TV in this price category. Gaming on this TV is very good because it also has motion enhancement for gaming, which, just like the movie mode, smooths out the picture while gaming, but it creates some motion artifacts on the edges of objects, so I would not enable it if I were you. I didn't have it enabled besides for testing. It just made things look very unnatural to me, so I'm not a fan of it, so I turned it off. But I'm sure there's some of you out there who like it, for whatever reason. So for those of you who want to know if it's much different from the Q80R model that it replaces, then besides the design change and the inclusion of a single HDMI 2.1 port, EARC support and enhanced sound, it's an iterative update. Samsung has done some shuffling to their model features for 2020 where the 8K TVs are the models getting the best features, but if you don't need, say, that many local dimming zones or multiple HDMI 2.1 ports, then this might be the TV to consider. And so I left links in the description if you want to do so. That said, there are going to be other TVs this year from budget manufacturers like TCL and Vizio and even LG, which will likely have just as good or even more compelling features, which will offer some serious competition, and I'll be reviewing as many of them as I can. It's gonna be a busy year. Let me know your thoughts about this TV in the comments and if you're in the market for one right now. Don't forget to like the video if you liked it or found it helpful, and subscribe for more audio and video reviews. Thanks for watching, and until next time, this has been your friendly neighborhood Villaman saying, be safe. Peace.